I don't know how policemen do this all the time.
Stay focused. Keep watch on your scanners and a lookout for any Drex that might be looking around in the area.
What if the Drex try to take whatever Militia wants and we don't stop them?
Doubtful. Militia's always been the do-it-yourself type. She'll send the Drex out to try to find out where this thing is, but when the time comes to take it, she'll be right there with them. That's when we strike. Once the shield drops and we get a lock on her, we report to Rowdy immediately.
Even if he's in the middle of reviewing?
I saw his schedule. Trust me, with what he's going after this week, he'll gladly leave it for a fight. People, how much longer can you do this? How many more bad adaptations and ripoffs of Japanese tokusatsu shows can you possibly throw at me? This whole thing started in the spring of last year when I dared to review Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad, an adaptation of the Japanese series Gridman that I'm guessing Matthew Lawrence took off his resume after he joined Boy Meets World. That drove many viewers to ask me to review Tattooed Teenage Alien Fighters from Beverly Hills, a completely American production that tried to be all meta and just came off as pathetic. And yet, it didn't stop there. I've been hit with requests for even more bad American toku shows, but the one I've gotten the most has to be Masked Rider. As I pointed out before, the runaway success of the Power Rangers drove many production companies to try and seize on the fad, and even Saban themselves looked for yet another such show. The results were varied, at least in terms of quality. VR Troopers did get some popularity, although it never really caught on to me, and it's pretty clear that Big Bad Beetleborgs was meant to be extra goofy in its execution, so I decided to cut it some slack. Masked Rider, on the other hand, gets no such leeway. And the big thing about this show is that it's not just another attempt by Saban to milk the cash cow they started. Technically, it's a spin-off of Power Rangers. It was adapted from the Toku show Kamen Rider, a Japanese series that dates back to 1971 and, to the best of my research, has no direct connection to Super Sentai. Yes, Toei did make both shows, but they ceased production on Kamen Rider in 1989, 3 years before producing the Zyuranger Sentai series that the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was based on. Nonetheless, Saban got the license to adapt that final season, Kamen Rider Black RX. And let me warn you in advance, this is likely not going to be my best review. Why? Because as requested as it was, I could barely find any episodes of this show other than the pilot, 2 other full episodes, a few trailers, and the Power Rangers crossover that preceded it. More on that later. I mentioned before that there are a bunch of bad shows out there that are almost impossible to find. Well, this is right near the top of the list of shows I felt I had to review, but practically could not find. It says something when I can't even find anything online. Officially, I heard mention of a few episodes released years ago on VHS, but nothing else. Let me give you a comparison to that. Cookie Jar Entertainment, who now own the DiC properties, They licensed Alien Fighters to air on the This Network last year, and they stream Cyber Squad on their website. In addition to Power Rangers, Saban and the Shout Factory have made DVD releases of Beetleborgs, VR Troopers, and Ninja Turtles Next Mutation. You can find all of those on Netflix right now, but not Masked Rider. This is apparently the show that even Saban wants to pretend never happened. Anyway, about this show, Saban decided that the best way to promote it would be to tie it into their flagship show. So the characters they created for their adaptation actually debuted on the 3rd season premiere of Mighty Morphin. My memory had this episode airing earlier, but what do I know? The story was that Alpha 5's home planet of Edenoi is under the reign of Count Dragon, who forces everyone to mine rocks and release poisonous gas into the air. When Alpha learns of distress calls from the planet, the Rangers teleport there to investigate, and they aren't exactly greeted warmly.
You pose as friends, but your garments betray you. You were sent by Count Dragon to further enslave our people.
No, that's not it.
I call upon the powers of light and truth to become Masked Rider. Ectophase, activate! Now you shall pay.
Okay, you're dressed like something Godzilla would fight, and you're calling out the Rangers on their suits?
Whoa, this guy definitely has a wrong idea about us.
For Edenoi, my friends!
This whole battle scene just shows how much effort was put into the preparation for this series. Remember, the Sentai series that Mighty Morphin used footage from came years after Kamen Black RX, so this had to have been made by either Saban or Toei specifically for this episode. I've heard that Sentai producers did make additional footage specifically for the Power Rangers, but that just makes what's coming in the actual series even more disappointing. Meanwhile, we get this whole piece on how Lord Zed isn't exactly Legion of Doom buddies with Count Dragon.
For as long as I can remember, Count Dragon has been trying to one-up me. To be more evil, more dastardly than me.
And you know what? This actually makes a lot of sense. Both of these guys are out to conquer the entire universe, and each one is clearly muscling in on the other's territory in their opinion. This was actually the most compelling thing I saw in this entire story. Which is why this rivalry between Zed and Dragon is never mentioned again after this episode. Anyway, rather than let the two sides destroy each other, Dragon chooses to fire on both of them from his ship that looks like a turkey after Thanksgiving dinner. Yeah, I know it's supposed to resemble a spider, but those legs of the thing moving side to side, yeah, that certainly helps the ship speed a lot.
Destroy the 5, yes. Give them our worst. But let them defeat Masked Rider first.
Oh, silence, you genetic junk pile! If they do defeat Masked Rider, they will acquire his powers before we do!
Wait a minute! Dragon's ship is firing at all of us. Even Dragon isn't low enough to fire on his own soldiers.
That's what we've been trying to tell you all along!
Dude, you gotta fight one side to get the Rider's powers anyway. All you did was unite these sides against you instead of divide and conquer. Jeez, KiloCon wasn't this dumb.
My name is Dex, Prince of Edenoi. I am also called the Masked Rider. Count Dragon has enslaved our people. Edenoi was a planet of great peace. We had not the need for weapons or armies for many centuries.
We took the advice from the Princess of Oriana. It probably wasn't our smartest move. Oh, meanwhile, because all the other Rangers left for Edenoi together, they forced Kimberly to fight Zed's monster alone while suffering from the flu. And she repels it single-handedly by infecting the monster with her ailment. I bring this up because it just shows that when Kimberly's not around Tommy, she is a total resourceful badass. I wish I could go on about this episode because it's still better than what we're about to get into, but to sum things up, the Rangers help Dex repel Dragon's forces before returning to Earth to stop Zed's monster, and Dragon is apparently so infuriated that the Rangers meddled in his affairs that he abandons Edenoi altogether to follow them to Earth, causing Dex to have to follow Dragon and stop him from conquering another world.
Planet Earth is Count Dragon's next target. It will be up to you to protect it from destruction.
Thus, we move to the actual series pilot episode, Escape from Edenoi.
You there, put some backbone into your work or you'll feel my lance.
Understood.
You must find that wretched orphan prince and put an end to this rebellion. The Plague Patrol is in pursuit.
So, yeah, apparently there was a change of plans following the Power Rangers episode, as Dex is still on Edenoi, and Dragon has decided not to travel to Earth, and instead, surprise, surprise, just send a monster to our planet. And he doesn't even send it to Angel Grove, even though the Rangers were the whole reason he wanted to go there. I'm just gonna guess Zed went crying to Dark Spectre about territorial rights on Angel Grove, so Dragon went and sent his beast to a random location just to spite him. I really didn't see what I just thought I saw, did I? I mean, they wouldn't have possibly gone that route. They wouldn't have been that stupid.
Huh?
What?
Oh my good freaking night, they did! So yes, everybody, you want to know how to take a follow-up to a series that drew in young viewers with really cool stuff like martial arts and robots fighting and explosions and characters that were among the first stars you drooled over as horny tweens, and instead made those viewers totally initiate a gag reflex? Add some kind of lame offspring of Howard the Duck and an Ewok. This thing shows up 3 minutes into the pilot episode, and the first thing it does is open its mouth and alert Dragon's soldiers to Dex's whereabouts. I'm willing to bet a third of the audience switched channels the instant this thing showed up on camera. The show makes us think that the soldiers killed him in a landslide, but no such luck.
Dragon is in need of soldiers. He plans to send warrior creatures to Earth to convert them to his own army of darkness.
I have to go to Earth and find a way to stop him.
Yes, it's finally time for me to get around to doing that thing that you said I needed to do earlier. Didn't you say I should do it earlier? Really, there's absolutely no mention of the Power Rangers episode in this or anywhere else in the series. Geez, the producers consider that crossover as disposable as a lot of the actors they've had in the past. So as the monster Dragon sent down begins assimilation like a Borg, Dex travels to Earth, and at least he doesn't crash into the family's garage. Maybe they actually had a light in their driveway.
Oh, my petunias! You're standing in my petunias!
I think your petunias are dead. These are the stewards, and they're an example of trying way too hard to bring in cultural diversity to a cast. Okay, a Caucasian husband and an Asian wife is just fine, but they have to make their kids adopted so they can include an African American one. What was wrong with just making them friends?
Your world, as you know it, is in grave danger.
Right, well, you just drink your juice, son. I'm sure everything's gonna be just fine.
Why do I have the feeling Mork from Ork had an easier time adapting to Earth than this kid will? So he shows off his ability as a living film projector to give an exposition dump, since I'm sure anyone who's still watching by now didn't see the preceding Power Rangers ep. And then, seriously, it's nothing but these people talking to each other very monotonously about Dex fitting in.
If you really want to fit in, you're gonna have to learn to talk like the rest of us.
And how do you propose I do that?
TV, Dex. Lots and lots of TV.
This is one of the most boring pilot episodes to a kid's action show I've ever seen. Will something show up and add some life to this snore fest?
I can't. No way. Twice in one night? Whoa, what's that?
Not that! Not that! Yeah, with no explanation needed, Dex's grandfather decided to send Ferbus down to Earth to be with him because that will help his ability to fit in.
Kids? Is there an animal in the house?
No, Dad. Not exactly.
Yummy.
This show could be studied in Children's Entertainment 101 on how not to pilot an action series.
A creature of unknown origin is waging a siege of terror upon our city.
It's all happening. Everything you said. What does this mean, Dex?
A monster is rampaging through their town, and that's all they have to say about it? Jeez, our generation really was desensitized to violence.
Ectophase, activate!
Wow, way cool.
So yeah, it's literally not until the second part of this pilot that we finally get to a fight scene, which is kind of what the overwhelming majority of the audience tuned in to see. And then we get one more stupid scene of Ferbus being a goofball before getting into the battle. They spent the first half hour on exposition dumps introducing characters we may never see again or don't want to see again, and no action whatsoever, all delivered by acting that the 5-year-olds at my old theater school would call lame.
It'll take more than that to defeat me, Destructosphere.
Yeah, only the Orkin Man can stop me! So while Ryder fights this monster, the stewards gather everyone in the school to make them think they can do something about this threat. No one thinks to call someone in Angel Grove. You'd think what regularly happens there would be known elsewhere. And we get further introduced to our human antagonists for this show that don't come a mile close to the charm of Bulk and Skull. This stereotypical Libby character, Patsy, and...
You know I'd do anything for you, Love Bunny, but why are we here?
I'm cuter than her, aren't I?
Yeah, you are. At least, I think you are.
You know, Cecil and Perkins have this huge problem with negative stereotypes of cats in TV and movies, and I try to understand their issues. But you know what? This is worse and even more offensive than anything Tom and Jerry put out to them. You know why? Because the first Power Rangers had Billy, who was someone that nerds everywhere could look up to and aspire to be. He found a group of friends that liked and accepted him for who he was and helped him build confidence in himself throughout his time in the series. Even if he never had Ranger powers, there's no doubt he would have found the strength to be whatever he wanted to be because he was around people who believed in him. So now for this series, they give us a complete stereotype in Ethan who allows this little biatch to use him for her own means just because it makes him feel good to be next to the pretty girl all the time. It's like when Saban sent out the casting call and recruited writers for this show, the call specifically said, "You don't even have to try!" Dex got seriously hurt in the battle, so he gets into this whole lack of confidence thing and goes to find a fortress of solitude to mope in.
So that you shall not be alone in this quest, create from your mind's eye those that may aid you.
They're exactly as I imagined them.
Oh, kinda tucks you up, doesn't it?
Oh, now don't start with the sarcasm.
I was serious.
Yep, these are Dex's companions and teammates for this series. he basically created a sarcastic motorcycle so creatively named Chopper and a car that I'm guessing came out of the sex fantasies of Kit from Knight Rider. And the worst part of all is that these two show more personality than everyone else we've seen so far.
Oh my! Dragon's maggots!
Yes, you are watching this. The maggots, Dragon's forces that are supposed to at least be threatening to non-superpowered humans, are engaging in Three Stooges comedy.
School's out, maggots!
You are making the Putty Patrol look competent by comparison. The Shredder's foot soldiers are laughing at these mooks. King Koopa's Goombas are shaking their mushroom heads in disgust! The maggots do such a bang-up job that I'm guessing Dragon brought in Sergeant Slaughter to deal with them and chooses to send down another bug monster. And I will say here that this show does one thing better than Power Rangers in explaining why Dragon only sends one monster at a time.
All these creatures unleashed would be even more than I could handle.
I didn't say it was a great reason, but at this point, I'll take what I can get. Masked Rider defeats the monster in less than a minute after a few botched moves that would get this guy cut from TNA Impact, and the pilot ends on what else? Comedy involving Ferbus. They should have just called this show The Wacky Adventures of Ferbus, guest starring Masked Rider. Again, I haven't found a lot of other episodes, but from what I've seen, a lot of them revolve heavily on bad jokes about Dex trying to figure out Earth's customs, talking like Data from Star Trek. Seriously, I can't be the only one thinking T.J. Roberts here is channeling Brent Spiner in his dialogue. Patsy and her nerd monkey trying to humiliate Dex and family, and Ferbus being a troublemaker, while Count Dragon's plan of the day to capture Dex almost seems like a side story. There's almost never a battle scene in the first act of any episode.
You are now working for Count Dragon. You are going to steal first.
If you wanted to make a goofy alien sitcom, Saban, make a goofy alien sitcom. I can enjoy those. But don't adapt it from a Japanese action show and make viewers think this is going to be something like Power Rangers.
You were really enjoying riding that other bike, weren't you?
I was just having fun.
Well, fine. Please don't let me stop you from having any more fun.
You know, this is one occasion where I don't need to see a majority of episodes to see how bad this thing is. This show is a failure! It fails at every level of this genre. There's almost no action. The acting is beyond dry and bland. The characters have almost no personality whatsoever, and way too much time is given to a Muppet reject that thinks it's on the set of Doodle Bops. But worst of all, it's boring! And that's something I should never say about a Toku adaptation. Power Rangers and Beetleborgs could be absolutely ridiculous, but above all, they had energy. Everything was lively and kept your attention. The characters showed emotion, even if it was over the top. No one put any effort into Masked Rider at all, and there is no doubt as to why it's one of the most forgotten Toku adaptations out there. I'm surprised Saban even agreed to release the Power Rangers episode that included these characters. Go, Cecil! The shield is down! We've tracked Militia to Legacy Plaza! I'm on my way! Ginny, put me in combat gear and link me to the battle site! Stat! Boom! Militia! Whatever plans you've got, they end now!
Trix! Attack!
Ninja Cat, forward! Cecil Perkins, double thermal attack! Ooh, that's gonna require cosmetic surgery.
Morons! I'm surrounded by morons!
Great job, guys! I don't get it. What could have been in that plaza that Melisha could have possibly been after? I've always wondered why Melisha always makes her Drex so familiar looking, if you know what I mean. She's got a twisted sense of humor, in my opinion.